Oh, welcome to number 4 in the International Interspace Solo Role-Playing Month, self-guaranteed by the man alone. This is number 4 in the series of his Round Robin RPG series, where we get to follow our hero, Stilton Tallwater, on his adventures in the village of St. Ellen. And before I get started on my 15 minutes of fame, just to let you know, I'm Dice Tales, otherwise known as Crapphone7774 on YouTube, and I'm doing the 4th episode tonight. Now, up till now, you've seen some great editing and some really nice soundtracks and really good productions, but that's not what you're getting today. You get to watch me fumble around in all my amateur glory. One of the things about solo role-playing is that's what you make it. And it can be anything, and you can start with very minimal things. Like tonight, I'm going to use mostly free stuff. The only thing that I paid for is my Swords and Wizardry and possibly one of the supplements that I intend to use. Probably the best supplement ever, and if you're going to buy a supplement, I would recommend it is this one. Perilous Wilds. It's meant for Dungeon World, but it works pretty much with everything, and it covers all kinds of things. If you're just getting started in solo especially, it's got all kinds of handy tools to get you rolling. And so that's what I'm going to go with tonight. Going to be hopefully a fun 15 minutes. Certainly the first 3 parts of the story have been compelling. And one of the things I want to tell you is, as you watch me fumble around, Deborah from Geek Gamer has a great saying. She says, it's all play. No matter what you're doing, if you're preparing, if you're figuring out a character, if you're pulling out your colored pencils and coloring a map, it's all play. And it all counts. So, having said that and given you my little moment of philosophy on RPGs, let's get started. And there's our character sheet, and I'm going to start my timer. When we left off, Stilton had just killed 3 of the shadow people who were the enforcers for a hitman or a bounty hunter, technically, who's taken over this village. He's been befriended by a baker and his daughter, and when we left him, he was standing over the 3 bodies of the slain hitmen who came there to extort more money from the baker. So, Stilton, who's slightly wounded, looks down at his chest, heaves a sigh, looks at the baker, and kind of looks around. This is going to be a problem. We need to get rid of these bodies, or you're going to have a real problem. The baker is looking horrified at the carnage, and his daughter has her hands cupped over her eyes, terrified at what's gone on here. Stilton says, there's someplace we can hide these. Someplace they won't look. And I'm going to use my first tool, which is the one-page generator. Unfortunately, my video skills are not good enough to really do this well. So we're going to use the oracle on there to get a yes or no answer. And the D6 oracle, yes or no, I don't know if you can see that, is right down there. Likely, even, unlikely, and the various results. And we're going to give this even, so it's a yes on a 4+. So we're going to roll ourselves a D6. If we get a 4+, the baker's going to know a place to hide the body. The baker just shakes his head, still recovering from shock. I wouldn't, the farmer, sorry, I wouldn't him to know where to get rid of something like this. Well, if we burn them, they'll see the fire. Well, let's just drag them off into the woods. Hang on here, I'm going to do, you may recall they're down at number 11 in the lower right. Again, with my advanced editing techniques, I've got no way to show that on the image, but it's in the lower right portion of the map as you're looking at it at the farm there near the edge of the woods. So Stilton says, maybe the wolves will eat them. or they get found. We got to get rid of them. Help me. And he goes over and starts dragging the body over. Now, bodies are kind of hard to drag. Stilton's got a strength of 14. And I'm using Swords and Wizardry, and it's basically a old school system, and no rules for a lot of things. So we're just going to say on a d20, if he rolls his strength or under, he's able to drag the body fairly easily. 18. I don't know if you can see that. Stilton's struggling with it. He is, after all, a dwarf, even though strong. These bodies are heavy. They were wearing a little bit of armor. Help me, he says to the baker. The baker just... Let's see if the baker's compass mentis enough to give him a hand here. We'll roll 2d6 using the old reaction rules from D&D, where 2 is very hostile, 12 is very friendly. We get a 7, it's in the middle. The baker staggers over slowly. Hesitantly grabs the body. And between the two of them, they drag it off into the woods. We better find some bushes or something to hide it under. So can they find something? I'd say it's likely because they're in the woods. So we'll give them, on the d6 using the oracle, a yes on a 3+. 5. Okay. So yes, they are able to find a place where they can kind of stash the body under the bush, and they do that. They continue with the other two bodies. Let's see if they're interrupted while this happens, and I usually do that on an arbitrary roll depending on the situation. And I'm going to say, since these 3 guys were out here to collect, it's unlikely that someone's following them, so we're going to go with only on a 5 or 6. Oh, it is not Stilton's lucky day today. As they come out of the woods, after having dragged the second body, they have a complication occur. And there's a scene complication setting for the D6 thing, so I'm going to use that. I get a 3. Wouldn't it suck if, is what it says, not making it up. Wouldn't it suck if, number 3, wouldn't it suck if somebody else from the shadow group showed up? So we're going to say, sorry, I got to unlock my timer here so I don't go over my time. We're going to say more of the black shadow shows up, just as they're trying to get rid of the third body. Or the second, starting to get rid of the third body. How many of them are there? We're going to go a D4 of them. Got a kind of cool D4 here. Oh, good. It's only 1. All right, so we're going to say this is one of the leaders who reports to Leonidas, who's the boss, comes riding up on a horse just as they're picking up the third body. He sees what they're doing and he stops abruptly. What happened here? He says. Very hostile, obviously. The baker, or the farmer rather, looks up shocked when this guy, not having realized he was approaching, and just drops his piece of the body and turns and runs straight up. Stilton turns around and says, some of your people overreached. You can't see a good way of getting out of this, and he's just about had it with these people. And the sub-commander on the horse looks at him and says, you're going to need to come with me. And Stilton says, why would I do that? That's only going to lead someplace bad. And the leader says to him, you have no idea how bad. And starts to dismount. Stilton can see how this is going to go. Not well. And he heaves a sigh. Says to the guy, "You can turn around and leave and pretend this never happened. Or," he pulls out his axe, picks up his shield from the ground, "this will end badly for one of us. I don't think it'll be me." The leader, to response, draws his sword and starts to attack and runs towards Stilton. So at this point, we're going to roll for initiative. We're going to enter melee. I'm going to real quick get some stats out of Swords and Wizardry for this leader guy. Human Sergeant at Arms. Okay, so he's like 3. I'm just going to jot some stats down. We're going to give him 15 hit points. He is ascending armor class. Ooh, dude, 14. He's pretty well armored. And he's got a good sized sword that does D8 damage. 8. Okay. All right. Yep, that's what we need. And so we're going to roll for initiative. White will be for Stilton, and the black die will be for the other guy. And he's going to attack first. So hang on just a sec. I'm going to say he's a 2nd level monster. That's how things work in Swords and Wizardry. We got a 2-hit table for, 3-hit dice monster. He's a 3-hit dice monster. Stilton, with his shield and leather, is armor class 13. So he's only going to need a 10 to hit Stilton. He's pretty buff. This could go very badly for our hero, but when you're soloing, that's how it goes. And I am a firm believer in not taking it easy. So, I'm going to take his first shot at Stilton. On a 9, he misses. Now, consulting Stilton's character sheet, which I have changed over to use with Swords and Wizardry, and made some notes on here, which you can't see. Sorry. Again, not the best video guy in the world. I don't even see where I made my notes. Well, that's all right. He's got this guy's armor class 14, so Stilton is going to need a 14 to hit, but he gets a +1 because of his strength of 14 in Swords and Wizardry, so he will need a 13 to hit. And a 12. Not Stilton's day. All right, so they circle each other warily, and the other guy strikes again, and Stilton just jumps out of the way as he clumsily misses. And Stilton's going to take a shot at him. On a 14, that's a hit, so Stilton will be doing a D8 damage with his axe. Let's hope for a good roll. 2. Ugh. Knocks the guy down to 13 hit points, and he's going to strike back at Stilton. He fumbles. All right. Now there is on the D6 Oracle, which is, or the one-page solo engine. I'm sorry, that's the thing that I'm using here, and it's free, by the way. There's a combat. Let me see if I can find it. And again, this is how I play. I frequently find myself fumbling around looking for stuff, but I like to try new rules. I like to try new systems, and so that's just how I roll. And the nice thing about it is, normally there's nobody here. Nobody cares whether it takes me 5 minutes to find something, like it is to find this table that I just looked at before I started. Aha! A failure move. So let's see what happens. Is that the right one? Scene complication detail. No, I don't think that's the right chart. Let's see. I saw it here a moment ago. And now I can't find it. If I can't find it in a minute, I'm just going to move on. Wait a minute. Topical focus detail. Nope. That sheet. And I'm not seeing it on this sheet, so we're just going to move on. We'll call it a fumble, which we're going to say is going to put him off balance, giving Stoughton an additional +1 on the next round to his roll. Stoughton gets a solid hit with a 17 straight up and does him 4 points of damage. That knocks him down from 13 to 9. So far, so good for our hero. Recovering from his fumble, the black folks leader strikes back. The shadow people. Oh, and he hits Stoughton this time. And ouch, 7 points. That's going to hurt. Stoughton, who is already wounded, has only 14 hit points at the moment, and that's going to take him down to 7. So Stoughton better see what he can do. And a 14 is another hit for Stoughton, which is great. Only doing 2. Can't find a decent roll here for damage to save his life. Takes this guy down to 7. They're both staggered, breathing hard, bloodied. And here's one of the things I love. And Stoughton, as he is maneuvering around to take this guy out again, he sees a flurry of motion out of the corner of his eyes, and the farmer's daughter appears out of nowhere behind the guy and bang! Cold cocks him with a big old cast iron frying pan. Even though he's wearing a helmet, she hits him so hard he goes sprawling and doesn't even get up. And our hero looks at her and says, "That was a help." And it looks like our time is up. So I'm going to leave it there. Once again, just as we found him when the scene opened, Stoughton is standing over one of the shadow guys. Yep, that was the alarm. It's definitely time. So there's Stoughton standing over one of the the shadow folk, bleeding from his wounds. And we'll see what the next person has to bring to this party. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.